It's not 5 o'clock, and they don't care. Welcome to Wine to 5. Entertainment, education, and everyday drinking for everyday people. Your hosts are Valerie Caruso and Stephanie Davis, two wine educators who don't need a clock to know when to pour that next glass.
Well, today we have Eric V. Orange joining us from just outside of Philadelphia. Tell us again what the name of your town is.
The actual town is Malvern.
Malvern.
If you look at a map, I am literally on the lower left-hand corner of Valley Forge National Park.
Right on. Well, welcome to the Wine to 5 podcast today, Eric.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I think we should turn up the edutainment, Val, and jump into Eric's bio.
Oh, it would be my absolute privilege to read this bio because it is what the kids today say, on fleek. Eric V. Orange. Yes, I know. I'm hip like that.
That's actually new to me.
What, on fleek?
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, our buddies over at We Like Drinking say that a lot. I think, to quote Jeff Solomon, it means on point or
on fire.
I kind of got it from the context, but
yeah.
It's just that's a new one on me.
It's a good thing. So, yes, listeners, if you can give us the actual definition, maybe from Urban Dictionary of on fleek, if we're using it properly, please let us know.
I'll ask the kids.
Yeah, these kids today.
Yeah, that's right.
So you kids today have probably also heard of localwineevents.com. So if you haven't and you love wine, you might be living under the proverbial rock because it is the leading website for local wine and food event listings around the country and in 63 countries around the globe. It has over 193,000 Facebook fans in their community. Eric is also the executive editor of the weekly e-newsletter, The Juice. You've all seen it in your inboxes. I get it. It reaches over 295,661 subscribers, probably more since we've gotten this. And it has an average readership of about 500,000 wine and food enthusiasts weekly. As an industry wine veteran and an insider, Eric has his certification from the Quartermaster Sommeliers, the first phase, and as a Master of Wine Education certificate from the International Wine Guild. He's also been a member of the Society of Wine Educators and has served on the board of the American Institute of Wine and Food. He has attended hundreds of wine events around the country, as you can imagine, and he is a wine judge. He has judged a number of major wine competitions, including the LA International Wine and Spirits Competition and the Finger Lakes International Wine Competition. Eric and his family are based just outside of Philadelphia, and his current and longtime favorite wine variety is Cabernet Sauvignon. And Local Wine Events, which we're going to be talking about here later, is the #1 ranked website for consumers who are actively seeking local wine and food events to attend. Did we miss anything, Eric?
No, that was some applause.
Yay! Woo!
Yay!
Thank you.
On fleek.
That's right. That's right. Well, what I think is on fleek are how many countries you're in, and with all of these event listings all over the world, what country or location has made you think, wow, no one will believe this?
Well, it struggles a little bit in some of the countries, and I've always wondered if it's a cultural thing, say Italy, Europe. But I was surprised we had a person posting for a number of years in Malta, of all places.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
they posted for a few years. The problem with the website is it's a problem and a bonus. It is supported by people posting their events, and so it depends on that. If people don't post their events, then it's a struggle for us to try and get everything in the world. So sometimes it's kind of a chicken and the egg. If you have a page that doesn't have any events on it, then nobody's going to sign up to be notified on that page. And conversely, if you're a person doing an event and you post it on the site and nobody comes, you're going to drop off eventually. And Malta was one of our slow areas. And a lady over there graciously posted for a couple of good solid years, monthly events. And we just couldn't stir up the interest in the local community to get anybody to sign up for the newsletter.
So where were they having the events, like Valletta or where in Malta? I'm just curious.
It's been a long time. I don't even know if I have the save the postings any longer. I was just looking through it the other day, and I come across one, and I remembered how diligent that young lady was posting those events.
I imagine it needs just to have that momentum. It's just there's a minimum amount of momentum that needs to happen.
It did in the early days. I saw it across the country where I would, initially I was posting the events myself. I mean, I literally sit down. I would go to say San Diego, and in the search engines at the time, Alta Vista. I don't know how long you guys have been online, but there was some, a bunch of different search engines in the early days. And I would say wine in San Diego, and then I would start literally copy and paste events, and often it would, I would post a couple of retailers, and then I would notify everybody out there, including their competition, about my website. And sometimes that sparked it off. If one competing retailer saw his competition from across town posting their events, then he would post too. And then it could snowball from there relatively quickly. And that's what happened in a lot of the cities. I mean, San Diego, Chicago, LA just kicked off, when I started notifying everybody out there. And so it just doesn't happen that way in some of the other countries. And again, I've often thought it's probably more of a cultural thing. I mean, I don't know that a place like Italy has wine-themed dinners like we do. It's more of their culture that they have wine all the time. And so I've always thought that it was struggling for that reason.
Right. Well, you do provide another service that actually I like to take advantage of, and that you have wine resources. So back when I used to host public events and classes, I used to list them on local wine events, but now I'm just listed as a resource, as is our podcast, hint, hint. But tell us a little bit more about that part of local wine events and what kind of services you provide and how it would benefit people to be listed there.
We recognize if you're looking at our page from, say, Boulder or Denver or Colorado Springs, then and you're interested in wine, then naturally there might be some local wine-related businesses that you might also be interested in. And so we started over time just offering that as a kind of a way to just give a little bit more exposure to the people in the business within those areas, and hopefully get them more engaged in the site. We offer worldwide wine resources such as our wine quiz, which is authored by Joe
Roberts, right?
Joe Roberts. I just drew a blank here for a moment. Sorry, Joe.
He's a cool dude. I've been following him for a long time. Yeah.
Well, and he's been doing our wine quizzes for years now. That's a very popular item. If something happens, and it happened just recently, we had a glitch where it didn't show the wine quiz and the juice, and I heard from people right away saying, "Hey, what happened to the quiz? Where's the quiz? I take that every week." So we also have wine articles. Anybody who feels that they have some articles, something they want to say, we're welcome to post them on there. Wine questions is just that. I mean, people write all the time asking us simple wine questions. Some are not so simple. And we have a master of wine, Roger Bomerich, who has for years voluntarily taken on the task of answering these questions. And those are all things that we just try to build the content, basically give us more reasons. But on a local level, we offer anybody that's in the business or related business to the ability to post their information and make it accessible to the people who are in that city who, again, are looking at my site and have a wine interest. Right. That includes wine educators, people who are doing training, teaching, wine shops, retailers, vineyards, tour vacation companies, everything, restaurants. I mean, we like to have them all. We offer them the ability, if they'd like, to feature it, which is a yearly, very small amount of money, and that will throw them up randomly in the issue of the juice for that city. Okay. So it's just trying to gain exposure for the local businesses.
Well, and I think that makes a lot of sense too, because these. The people who are trying to get to that audience, it's such a perfect fit and it's a niche. I mean, you don't have eyeballs looking at local wine events or at the juice who are not into wine. So
Exactly.
Right.
it's so perfect. It's so perfect. Well, and one of the things that I guess I wasn't aware of it, is how many great wine study tours and trips that are also on the site. And it just made me curious to think, because your site has been out there, for 17, almost 18 years
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, it'll be 18 in July.
18 in July.
You're
I mean, you've
absolutely right.
probably seen a lot change, right?
It's grown substantially. I mean, the tours and vacations, and in fact, we're struggling a little bit with that because, most tours and vacations are not as local. I mean, if somebody's given a tour or a vacation in Burgundy, for them to post it on our Burgundy page is not necessarily what they need. They need broader exposure. They need exposure to, New York City, Chicago, California. I mean, they need a broader market. So we've been struggling recently with a little bit of a rewrite on the site to differentiate those types of events, because they are big. It's a growing industry, has been growing for a long time. In fact, it's gotten to the point, I saw an article the other day, maybe you saw it, a fellow who writes about Napa Valley was lamenting the explosion of traffic and tourism that's going on in Napa. I mean, it's just about anywhere now that produces wine, there's somebody who will lead you on a tour of that area. And I like that. I mean, I got started in a local vineyard up in the Mid-Hudson Valley called Millbrook Vineyards, and I was there for nearly 6 years. And we had people walking in all the time, and we'd show them the place. We were happy to show them the place. I mean, that was what we were there for. So I like it. I mean, I go on little vacations myself. There's always some wine involved. Not as many as I'd like. When the kids go to college, my wife and I will probably take serious advantage of some of these.
Then it's
As
on.
you should. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think some of the travel stuff, you don't know where you want to travel until sometimes it finds you. Somebody tells you about it, or you see a story or a tour for sale, and you didn't know you wanted to go there until this just happened,
Suddenly
so
it's like, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, what about localwineevents.com's future? What do you kind of see coming up, if you want to share that with us, or even for you? Like you said, you mentioned once the kids are out of the house, then it's tour time for mom and dad. But, what else do you guys have coming up?
I am constantly trying. I find events all the time that are not on my site. I mean, my goal in life is to spread the word about this website. I've always felt that I've created a tool that is useful for every aspect of this industry. I mean, from the vineyard to the retailer to the restaurants, everybody benefits by making these events more accessible to the general populace, the people that want to know. And so, I mean, again, every day I see events that are not on the site that I want to introduce them to my site. And so that's kind of I don't have any end game on that. I plan to just do that until either it, I don't know, makes me millions, or it grows every year, and it's constant and steady. And I just am pleased with the whole success of it. I'm going to just ride it.
Right.
I'm going to keep riding this baby and let it go, because it's a very useful thing, I think, in this industry.
Oh, it is. I mean, I've even had people, I'm like, how did you find out about me? Oh, from the local wine events website. I mean, just being listed there as a resource definitely does help.
Well, and you guys have an app too. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who, now that's their preferred way of searching and looking and booking, and so people are using that, I'm sure, too.
The app is great. It pulls up what's coming up around you. We've got the app. At the end of the day, we are simply a calendar of events, and so there's only so much you can really do within the app to snazz it up. But the fact is, with the mobile technology and the website technology these days, our website, localwineevents.com, is fully functional on a mobile screen.
Right.
just as functional as our app. So it's kind of one of those where, well, what else could we do with our app that we're not already offering through the app or the website itself? So,
do you have goats?
Yeah.
What's going on over there?
I got a little dog here that just snuck into my office, and he's, hey, buddy, take your little cough outside. I thought I had the door shut.
We like it when people's dogs make it onto the show. What's your dog's name?
His name is Jack, and he's now looking at us curious and wondering where the food is.
Oh, hey, Jack.
Oh, that's fun. That's I love that, because I bet your dog binge watches Netflix with you, or whatever you like to watch. And Valerie and I do like to binge watch every once in a while. But what are you drinking? Is it usually the Cabernet Sauvignon or something else these days?
It is Cabernet Sauvignon. One of my favorites these days. I'm drinking Black Stallion, Napa Valley Cabernet. It's 2014 vintage. My wife and I had the pleasure of visiting Napa a couple of years ago, and we stayed at the Black Stallion Winery, and I've been a fan ever since. And I came across it actually online. I personally don't do a lot of wine shopping online, but I came across this bottle online for a reasonable price, and then I snagged it. That's my favorite at the moment. It is a very nice bottle of wine.
Oh, wait. And you're in Pennsylvania, where buying wine online is a new privilege for you.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I remember years ago when there was a fellow who ran the PLCB, and after the Supreme Court case that kind of threw it back to the states, he made an arbitrary decision that he was not going to allow in-state wineries to ship their wine any longer. And the legislation came in and said, wait, you can't make that decision. You're not a legislative body. And so he said, all right, well, then we're not going to do anything until you guys figure it out. And it basically opened the door to anybody being able to ship into Pennsylvania. Now, most people didn't know that, and most people are still somewhat hesitant to send into Pennsylvania, but the fact is it goes on. I mean, I've been getting wine now for a number of years, and some of them will send it with adult signature required, and others it just shows up at the door. So
don't say who those people are.
Yeah. No, I won't. I appreciate that they're able to do it, but to my knowledge, they still haven't yet gotten anything through legislation as far as trying to get it straight. It's a mismatch across the whole country what you can and can't do with shipping of alcohol.
Oh yeah,
sure is.
You sound like you're moving furniture there, Eric. What are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm just moving my chair around.
Right
Sorry, I could with my headphones on. I can't hear any outside noises, so I didn't realize you were picking up my chair.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like you're like rearranging your office over there. That's okay. All right. We got one more question for you. So just hang with us, man. Hang with us. What about...
I'm not moving furniture. I'll sit still now.
Sorry.
Sit, Eric.
Get my wine.
Sit. Stay.
Okay. Solid.
All right. No, so what we do like is when our guests share with us an embarrassing wine story, and preferably something that has made you realize, you know what, it's okay to laugh at myself, or if you've learned a lesson from it, or anything that, makes you realize it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes, or it was just freaking funny. So do you have any of those stories that you'd like to share?
I do. It's just kind of freaking funny. It got me. It made me realize that, my wine is my life, kind of. My son, when he was young, used to make these concoctions. He would mix all of his drinks together. I mean, he'd go to the McDonald's line and just, between the root beer and the Sprite and the Pepsi and the Coke and all that, he would just mix it all together, but he would do it at home as well. And he would do it with like Pepsi and milk and orange juice and just mix this concoction up. But and then he would insist on us tasting it. And I mean, he was always, anything he made, he wanted you to taste it. Very insistent on you tasting it. Come on. So he mixes this concoction of milk and orange juice and Pepsi and something else probably. And he's sitting there at the table and he said, come on, Mom, try it. And Mom's like, no, thanks. No, thank you. And he, come on. And then he says, it tastes like vino. And we both looked at each other and cracked up. It was the funniest thing.
How
I mean, this is the way you
clever.
said it. Tastes like vino.
And how do you know what vino tastes like?
Yeah.
Exactly.
He
Mom and
knows
Dad
the
like vino.
keyword.
So how
Did you taste it? Did you taste it?
Oh, no. He did not. I did not. I wasn't about to. He gave up asking me after a little while because I was like, no way, kid. I don't know how you can do that.
So how old is he now? And is he going to be a bartender sporting a man bun and a beard and tattoos in the future?
I don't anticipate that.
Okay.
He's 18. He's gotten accepted to Penn State University and wants to be a doctor.
Awesome.
So I am very, very proud, very pleased.
Awesome.
I couldn't be more pleased. And I have a 16-year-old daughter. She's one that tore her ACL in Breckenridge.
Okay.
So she's hobbling around, but she's also a great, knock wood, we're very lucky with our children.
Oh, yeah. So they are almost out of the house.
Yeah, getting close. He's going to be gone this summer, actually.
Right on.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, your travels will start here pretty soon, I take it.
That's right. I think that's right. I have had offers before to do a tour, lead a tour on the Viking cruises in Burgundy and Bordeaux, and I can't see why not after the kids are gone. And I love traveling with the kids, and I do want to take the kids to those places as well. But if I'm going to do a river wine cruise, I want them to be old enough to enjoy it with me before I start that.
Yeah, otherwise that might be kind of torture.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so let us know how everybody can contact you online and find you on the social spaces. Besides localwineevents.com website, where can everybody else connect?
Well, as you mentioned, we are on Facebook. It is close to 200,000 fans on Facebook. We have Twitter. It is World Wine Events at Twitter. Somebody had registered local wine events before I did and abandoned it, but Twitter has some kind of policy about never giving up an old Twitter. I don't know, what do you call it?
Handle.
Tweet handle. So they've never released it to me. But anyway, so we're World Wine Events on Twitter.
Okay.
I'm also on LinkedIn. I have close to 17,000 connections on LinkedIn, which is sort of ridiculous. But, because of the juice and the number of subscribers we have, people see my name and recognize it and want to connect. So I say, sure, why not? I actually noticed the other day, I started LinkedIn when it first came about, and it was not very useful back then. Mm-hmm. And especially if you had dial-up, it kind of choked the dial-up. And so I didn't use it. There was years where I just said no to everybody that asked me to LinkedIn. I just said I don't like it. Every time I opened it up, it just crashes my browser. And so I didn't. But then I got a note an email at one point from them, and they said, "Congratulations, you were one of the first 100,000 people to sign up to LinkedIn." They're at 250 million people now.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of a little badge of honor. My ID is like 96,000 something or other. I thought, wow, I was an early adopter.
It also allows you to post interesting articles and connect with other people in the profession who can find that platform too. So I'm sure that it's been a good place for you to kind of hang out.
It is definitely. I use it daily. And then we have our app. It's called Wine Events. You can find that on Android. You can find that on Apple. It's been out there for a long time. We probably have close to 100,000 downloads on it. I'd have to go look at the stats. I haven't seen them lately, but it's a good performing platform.
Well, Eric, it sounds like you're moving around a lot again.
It's okay. I'm like, what the hell's he doing?
I'm wondering if maybe I should just pull the headphones off. That way I can tell what you're hearing.
Oh, you're so funny.
No, it's fine. It's hard when you're not used to it because I'm like really fidgety and I like twist my chair back and forth. And
yours must not make noise.
Well, you know what? It's hard. I have my microphone on a shock mount because I do talk with my hands and I bang it and I move around and my head moves around when my hands don't. But after doing all the editing and watching, trying to level sound when I'm not near the mic and then I'm near the mic and then away from the mic
Sure.
And, I'm a pain in my own ass that way. So now it's kind of, I've learned, just sit here with your hand on the desk.
Don't move.
Don't move. And like you sit here and you're like, oh my God, I need to stretch when we're done. So
Yeah.
So I think that brings us to the end. Is there anything else you want to tell our listeners? Anything at all?
Not necessarily. Like I said, I'm a shameless promoter. I love telling people about my website. We are the largest calendar of food and wine events going on around the world by city, and I hopefully will reach some people who are in the business who could use it, and consumers out there who like food and wine and want to travel.
Right. Well, thank you so much. And listeners, definitely go check out the social spaces. I will say that your social media manager is doing a fantastic job.
She is good.
She's amazing. She is amazing. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Thank you. I appreciate it, ladies. Thank you for having me on.
All right.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Wow, we are so grateful that Eric spent the afternoon with us today. And thank you so much to Lee Sequeira from Off the Vine PR for putting this whole thing together for us.
She's a rock star.
She is a true rock star, and we love her.
We love her. And we love our patrons who support us on the crowdfunding platform called Patreon. To our Reserva Superiore supporter, Robin Sauls from Girls Gone Grape.
Woo! And our Reserva supporter, Auntie in Georgia.
And our tenacious tasters, Jeff E. from the award-winning We Like Drinking podcast, Sebastian of Sassy Italy Tours, Jen in Maryland, David and Lisa in Illinois, Anne Marie in Virginia.
And our It's Not 5 o'clock and We Don't Care listeners. There's Meg in South Dakota, Clay in Arizona. In California, we have John, Andrew, and Aswani. Chantel's in Ontario, Mary Lou's in Pennsylvania, Kathy's in Georgia. In Colorado, we have Chris and Janet and Diane. In Illinois, Stephen Renee. Kathy's in Tennessee, Ashley's in North Carolina, Sean is in Ohio.
And our tastemaker listeners, David in Scotland, Carol in Kentucky, Karen in California, Chip and Katie in Pennsylvania, and our newest patron, Danielle. Thank you, everyone. And please, if you want to know more details, go to patreon.com/wine25podcast, and you can find out about our monthly drawings and the exclusive content for patrons and all the fun swag from Wine25.
Oh, and you can also go to our website, wine25.com, because there's a little button on there that says Become a Patreon. You can just click that. Or right below that, you can see our affiliate links. There's books, travel, art, all those good things. So make sure to show them some love. If you've heard about something on the show that you love, we're all about sharing the love.
We are also available in between our weekly episodes on the social spaces at Wine25. And we encourage you to go check out our private Facebook group called the Wine25 Community. You can connect with Miss Val here on Twitter at WineGal Unboxed, and as Vino with Val on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. And I'm everywhere as the Wine Heroine. So until next week, everybody, cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Wine to 5 podcast. Be sure to check us out at Facebook/WineTWO5 and tune in next week for more fun and useful sip tips.